Hello again. I was just here. I'm doing two YouTubes today. Must have had too much coffee or something. Anyway, I'm doing one and I'm thinking about other stuff for another one here. I'm saying I want to do one on this too. Um, I wanted to talk about the symbolism and getting wrapped up in the symbolism with tarot cards. Because if it can really confuse somebody who's just starting out and they buy one deck and they have different things in there and they're learning about the symbolism in that deck. And then they got another deck and it has a whole different set of artwork in it. The symbolism isn't there. And so what do you do then? So you wonder, does it mean anything to you? And I never really got into the symbolism of the tarot too much. I mean, I've read about it lots of times, and but I never really used it in a reading. And the way I teach and the way I write my books, it doesn't make any difference what deck you use. You'll understand what I'm saying in the book and you'll see how it relates to your cards easily. And that's because there are so many decks out there and the symbolism is different with each. It depends on what the artist wants to put in there. So having I never saw any value in it in a reading. If somebody's sitting across from you, they want answers, they give you money. The symbolism really isn't going to give me much. So I'm not really, it doesn't work well with me. So I don't use it that well. But anyway, I go more into the application. My books have all the meanings in there, a couple pages for each card, just like other books. But I'll also usually have about 50 or 60 pages just on card spreads and how they work. And I think that's something that's more beneficial to know, regardless of the deck. And when I teach classes, you walk out of the class feeling like you can use, the deck doesn't make any difference. Whatever deck you like, that's the deck you use. So whether you're using a Sacred Rose deck or a Rider-Waite deck or a Thoth deck or a Gummy Bears Tarot or Tarot of the Cat People, doesn't make any difference. You'll be able to make it work. I don't get any value out of like the Rider-Waite deck. The magician is wearing a red robe, and he's surrounded by lilies and roses. Lilies stand for the innocence, and the roses stand for passion. It doesn't help me in my reading. It doesn't really help me. I don't care if he's wearing a bathrobe. He's a magician. So it doesn't really make a difference to me. Also, with my teachings, I don't use the suit as much. So the numerical value of the pip cards is what I see as important as far as getting a meaning for that card. So whether it's a 5 of cups, 5 of wands, they're both fives. So transition, change, alteration, adjustment. And the way I look at it is the 4 suits represent the 4 functions of consciousness. Carl Jung called it emotion, thinking, and your material world and your spirit. What makes you you? What drives you? What are your interests? What are you passionate about? Your wands, your thinking, the swords, your feelings, the cups, and your physical material world, the pentacles. So anybody coming to me for a reading is already coming to me with the suit in mind anyway. If it's a relationship issue, it's a cup reading. If it's wondering if they should change careers, it's maybe a sword thinking. If I sell the house, pentacle thinking. So, really, and all four of those suits get affected no matter what it is you're doing. Maybe one suit more than the other, but they all get affected. So if I'm involved in a relationship, that's obviously cups. It's getting dark out here. So there. On this. If I'm involved with a relationship, though, that's cups. But emotion, feelings. But that's also affecting my thinking, the swords, the relationship. It's also affecting my physical world, the pentacles. And it's also affecting my spirit, the wands. So anything you're doing affects all four parts of your functions of consciousness. Yeah, if I see a bunch of cups in a card spread, I might look at it and say, well, this is a lot of feeling in this situation. Or if I see a lot of swords, I might think, well, you have some careful thought needs to be put into this. But that's about as far as I take the suits. So really, with me, the minor arcana is just 14 meanings to the minor arcana. I don't use reverse meanings either. So it's ace through 10 and 4 court cards. All fives mean the same thing. All aces mean the same thing. So it's not 56 cards, which is what the minor arcana would be. It's 14. 4. 14 cards, 14 meanings. And I use keywords instead of, I have sentence definitions in my books, but I also have keywords in my books too. And I think keywords will work a lot better. So it's a lot easier to remember that way, a lot easier to read that way too, I think. So you have 14 minor arcana meanings, and you have 22 major arcana meanings. Instead of, that's 36 meanings instead of 78. And if you use reverse meanings, it's 156. And it's just too much. And like I said in my last couple videos back, I said, there's 7 notes in music. And with those 7 notes, we've made all the music you've ever heard in your life, whether it's Beethoven or the Beatles. Different combinations of those 7 notes. So you have 36 meanings in a deck of 78 cards. You have a lot of variables there. Endless amount. Endless amount. And I've never had a situation where I never could find an answer because I didn't have enough meanings. Well, if I only had more meanings, never happened. So don't get tied up too much. If you want to, I've enjoyed reading about the symbolism of tarot cards, but I don't use them. I don't use those. What I've learned there in my readings. I'm into tarot cards, so I read about it. But the high priestess has Boas and Hashin temple, the pillars there for the duality, and they have the pomegranates because that's supposed to be the temple of Solomon. And the veil behind her is the veil which had pomegranates on it, if I remember right. And beyond that veil was the room of the Holy of Holies in the Temple of Solomon, which is where the Ark of the Covenant was. And then she holds the mysteries of all of this. Okay, great. But to me, it's just the high priestess. And I'm not going to be talking about the Temple of Solomon in a reading or pomegranates. Oh, you like pomegranates? Anyway, I my readings have been fine and find lots of information doing it that way. But that way of looking at it, that way of approaching the cards, you can always learn more later if you want. And you can it allows you to start reading the cards, putting cards on the table instead of reading a book about the tarot. Start using them. Put meaning in them, and you'll see you don't need that much meaning. You don't need it. And you don't need to worry about the the symbolism. And why is the sun setting in the death card? The collars around the people in the devil card, they can take them off if they wanted to. Okay, I don't care. Good, take them off. Um, the devil card in the Rider Waite deck he's got his hand like this, and he's got the sign of Saturn branded into his hand. Doesn't make any difference to me. It's the devil. And on another deck, on the Thoth deck that isn't on there, or if I look at Gummy Bear Tarot, and it could be on there. At least I don't think so. I never used that deck professionally. So anyway, it's not that hard to learn. And my advice to you, because if you ever sat in a room with me and we're doing a class, 22 major arcana, you got to learn. I use keywords for them, one word meanings. And that's how my work is. And 14 meanings for the minor arcana, ace through 10, and 4 court cards. 14 meanings. Total of 36 meanings, all keywords, 36 words. And you'll read like a pro. Well, you read like me anyway. And I claim to be a pro. Tarot gathering this month is May 9th at 12 o'clock Chicago time. Go on by, say hello. Link down below, tarotmaps.com, and the tarot gatherings in the menu. And just come on in and say hi. Or keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon.